So I received a request from Simon, wanted to see all the drums in my kit. So I'm going to give you a rundown of this entire set. Got a 22-inch Starclassic bass. This was my original rig that I bought when I was about, 14 or 15 years old. So it starts with a 8-inch rack tom, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16-inch rack tom, and then I had a 14-inch snare. That's the original kit. And I had a double bass. I had two bass drums, but I prefer the single bass with the one kicker because you can jump right over to the hi-hat pedal very easily without having to move your leg from left to right. And this single bass rig gives me more room to put stuff around the regular kit. The double bass actually spreads it over. So years ago I sold the second bass drum and shipped it to the UK. Sold it on eBay. So the next rack up is mini timbales that are by Tama. And this is a 6 and 8-inch. And then the next set are Meinl's, and that's an 8-inch and a 10-inch mini timbale. I bought those and used some L-rods, connect those to my cymbal stands. And so now I'll talk about the frame that I built. This frame that I built was from pieces from a trampoline. So I used pieces of straight bar, ended up painting it silver, cutting them, and using Gibraltar clamps to run them across. So I first started doing this because I bought an Alesis Sample Pad Pro. So I'm going to come in the side here and show you from the other view what's going on here. So before I do that, I'll tell you how I get in here because this drum set totally surrounds me here. This Pancake 20-inch bass drum, I actually have to loosen this clamp and then rotate it out just like a door, and then I can enter the drum set. And I have to duck down underneath my bass drums in the back. So I swivel this back into place and tighten it up, and then I'm securely locked in to my arena. Okay, so before I go into, well, I guess I'll go into Alesis again. This is where I started building the pipe across. I bought an Alesis Sample Pad Pro. That's a really cool device. If you want some added electronic sounds, purchase one of these. You can pick up your little SD card and load it up with extra sounds that are fun. And you can put your own sound effects on there that are weird and everything. So anyway, I started with this one bar going across above my kick drum between two cymbal stands so I could support that. And then I decided, well, I might as well go upward. So I started going upward. And the original piece was on the left here, and it was because I was building homemade octobans, which I ended up mounting on that side, and then I went across the front and continued on with the remainder of the 8 octobans that I built. And I had room here in the middle, so I bought an 18-inch floor tom that was a Premier, and I cut it into 3 sections. I made 2 pancake drums, so that's an 18-inch Premier pancake drum. And there's the other one. I used a injected Evans head that's red. I had extra PVC material left over, so I made a darbuka bond is what I call it. You can see at the end of that, that's a darbuka, and I bolted it onto this PVC and made another octoband with a darbuka on the end of it. So it's a darbuka bond. These are all 6-inch heads. And I had a little extra material here, so I made a 6-inch open back tom. And these were the first toms I made. This is a 6.5-inch tom. So rather than using 5-inch PVC, like all of these are 5-inch PVC that actually measures 6-inch. This was 6-inch PVC. So the outer diameter is 6.5, and that was the reason I purchased the darbuka, because the darbuka was 6.5-inch and it came with its own heads that are 6.5-inch. I've since black dotted the heads because the darbuka heads are thin, but the rim came with the darbuka that I used over here to turn into the darbuka bond. This here is a 4-inch piece of PVC, and I turned that into a 5-inch open back tom. So it's actually a 4-inch piece of PVC, and I made the rim from a flange that I found at the hardware store. So now going into my light rack. This light rack I used to gig with it all the time. And it's got an upper row, and then it had a secondary row for lights. So what I did is I tilted those in at 45 degrees. I still have lights hanging in the middle here. I kind of drilled holes for different locations. I've got a camera mount there too that I put up there. But the primary reason I angled it in is because I wanted to have 2 hanging gong drums. And the inspiration was Thunderstruck from AC/DC. So I bought 2 bass drums on Craigslist. And they're really cheap. These are not any fancy brand. This one was a Ludwig that was made, I think, in Korea. So it was a low line cost Ludwig drum. And this other one was some off-brand. But they both sound good. Took the back heads off and leave them open. So they're gong drums. And this light rack, I just drilled holes into the sides of the bass drums, and they freely swivel. Not very much. They swivel a little bit. But anyway, I connected those light rack arms to this pipe. Now it's all unitized. So you see I've got the light rack stands here and here and here. So it makes like a 30-degree angle into the square rack that goes up above. And all my cymbals are Meinl. I've got a 16-inch China here. I think that's a 17-inch crash. I've got 3 splashes here. It's like a 810 and a 12. I got 14-inch hi-hats. These are all Meinl Moons. I bought them from the factory in Idaho years ago. That's a 14. I think this is a 15. I think that's a 16. I bought this trash china, something like that. It's got the holes in it. It's got a light china sound to it. And then I've got a 22-inch rat, I think it is. I don't think it's a 20. I think it's a 22. It doesn't say on there, I don't believe. And then I've got 18 and 16-inch chinas. Like I said, I think this was a 15 on the other side. So first top row is the mini timbales. I use ebony pinstripes on the main toms like I showed you before. I made this, well not made, but I restored this side snare. I bought it for $3 at a local junk store. It was all rusted and pitted. I sanded it all down and cleaned it up and repainted it. Put nice paint on the rims and everything. So that's the side snare. There's my regular snare. And then back here is the 20-inch pancake bass drum that I made. And I wrapped that with wrap that I got from a guy that sells them for auto wraps. It was on eBay. I think it was like $12 for a roll. Worked real well. So like I said, how many drums I got here? Let's count them as we go. I got 2 bass drums in the back. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's the whole top. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and then the pancake drum. I got 29 drums. And then I've got 1, 2, 3 for the hi-hat, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cymbals. So I didn't count the bass drum. I got 30 drums and 14 cymbals. And then with the electronic piece, that would make this a 45-piece drum set. Oh, and I forgot the most valuable thing, 1 cowbell. Oh, this particular cowbell, by the way, is signed by the entire Rudy Sarzo version of Blue Oyster Cult. And I've got the ticket stub, I don't know if you can see it or not, on the inside of the cowbell. I'm not touring anymore. I played for about 20 years live, and I used a 5-piece or 4-piece kit. I had a big set when I was a kid growing up. Used to play 2 hours every day. And I figured this thing's locked down solid, and I want to have a big drum set. So this is fun for me. I don't have to move it anywhere, which is awesome, because all you know that touring with drums sucks. And I built many of them. Let's see how many I built. 1, 2, that one's restored, I'll count it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Restored this. 16, 17, 18. I built 18 of the drums. So I know it's hard to get a overall view of this thing because I'm right in the middle of it and there's no stepping back here, but you can kind of see what it is. A lot more things to hit. Sometimes I leave this pancake base open when I come in here rather than locking myself in. Depends on what I'm going to play. If I'm going to use that during that song, then I'll close it. Okay, I think this is exhaustive. Hope you appreciate the set and the work I put into it. I love playing it. And I don't have to play speed metal on this to make it worth having. And I might not even hit the top row stuff during the song if a song don't need it or if I don't feel like it. But if I feel like it, I can. So look at my other videos if you want to see how to build some of these PVC drums. You can save a lot of money by doing it yourself. It does take some work, a little bit of skill, but you can do it. Alright, that's my kit. Here's one last flyby from the outside. You say I have that one pancake drum on a real severe angle, aimed downward almost, but it's in a good spot for me. The other thing I didn't mention is that these octobons are all different lengths. You can look at the video to see what the specific lengths are, but they go from short to long. And they get quite long at the end of the 8th one. The other pancake drum is almost vertical. I got PA speakers out here. That's how I listen to my tunes when I record covers or just play along with it. You see these octagons, I purposely put at all different angles to get them right where I wanted to hit them. Okay, so that's the outside view. It's kind of dark, but I'll brighten it up. Alright, so I'm going to loosen this up, swing it out, hit my head underneath, and turn off my lights.